what's up? My name's Samuel Leeds. Welcome to this week's Winners on a Wednesday. So, thing is, every single week people love Winners Wednesday because I interview one of my success students who's become financially free by using the strategies that I teach. Now, this Wednesday is a little bit different because I'm going to be interviewing my parents. Now, they're not my success students. In fact, they helped me get into property, were really influential, and you're going to be hearing all about that. But they have gone on to do great things in property themselves, and you're going to hear what they've done. This is going to be a very interesting interview. I'm almost a little bit nervous about it, if I'm perfectly honest, but I tell you something, you're going to learn a lot. There's going to be some golden nuggets. So my advice is get comfy. Get comfy, get a notepad and a pen, take good notes, and enjoy. So this is not the normal, typical interview. I don't think you've only been on my YouTube channel once. I think once, when I bought the castle.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. When you were on briefly. But as I put my timeline out, and literally talked about my first property, which you, Tim, put in your name.
Yep.
And then, in fact, let's talk about that first property that you put in your name. We had no contract or anything, did we?
Nope.
So what happened?
It's just total on trust.
Yeah.
I put it in my name, but you knew it was your property.
Yeah. And would you recommend people do that, or do you think that is stupid?
It depends. It depends on your family relationship.
But some of the properties that you've got in your name, though, I know nearly all of them we've moved out there, but for instance, the one in Wales, to be honest, I'd be very happy if you stole it from me.
No, you wouldn't.
I'd be very happy if Russell stole Durham Road from me.
Oh, yeah.
Because some of them weren't great.
No.
But then others have been fantastic. So, no, I really appreciate you coming on the show. I know it's rare. It feels weird, me interviewing you guys, because normally when I'm interviewing people that I've helped become financially free in property. But on this occasion, it's actually the other way around, because you guys helped me become financially free by firstly believing in me as a kid and just nurturing me with love and complete belief and support, even when my school teachers probably didn't. And then also just practically introducing me to the world. I mean, you and Dad introduced me to entrepreneurship, but then Tim kind of introduced me to investment and business. But I'm just really grateful, massively, massively grateful. And I shout you out at every crash course. And it's really good to have you on the show. So did you know when I was at school that I was going to be a property entrepreneur or an entrepreneur?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did.
I said it was like having a mini Richard Branson living in the house.
I remember you saying that. And that's the kind of thing that's so funny. When you speak words over people, I think that it comes true. So you saying that, maybe that wasn't the case at the time. Maybe it wasn't like having a mini Richard Branson, but because that's what you thought and that's what you said, it manifested. I don't know.
I can't remember how old you were, but probably about 13. And we'd gone to a family party, and it was a karaoke, probably 150 people, massive room. And people were getting up to sing, and everyone was ignoring them. They were all at the bar. You got up. You did Gangster's Paradise.
Yeah.
Everyone came away from the bar. Everyone just stopped what they were doing. Like, all the family couldn't believe it, and they just stood there watching you, about 13. And we were quite stunned, weren't we were. At the time. Although you'd shown signs of being, you'd got something. I think that was the time for me when I thought, wow, you know, you absolutely stole the room, and everyone was telling us after, weren't they? Yeah. It was amazing. And I think that was, we've had a few little things going through, but that was definitely a monumental.
How's that linked to entrepreneurship though?
It is.
I think it's linked to the way you perform on stage.
Yeah.
You had that presence. You took control.
It captivated people.
Yeah.
It's a kind of leadership.
I remember when I was about 16, and I can't remember exactly whereabouts what the stage was, but I just left school, and I think I just left working on Dad's entertainment business. I just left, which was horrible. But I remember just having so much, like, you know, and I remember you described me as a loose cannon.
Yeah.
I don't know if you remember that. But, I mean, it's funny because I had opportunities. Tim, you were in property, you'd refinanced and were buying properties, which caught my interest. I'm like, how does that work and what's happening? Do you think that, I just think, for me, for my kids, I want to give them opportunity. I didn't have handouts, I didn't have people giving me money. No one gave me money, but I did have opportunities. What do you think as parents? Because I know a lot of people watching this, they might be parents, or they might be parents one day. How do you support your kids? And even me asking you as a parent, now I've got 2 kids, I don't want Ruby and Luke to have anything handed on a plate. So I don't want to give them money, but at the same time I want to give them massive opportunities to succeed. What's the best way? What would be the best advice that you'd give a parent to help their kids be as successful and happy as possible?
You've got to be looking for their giftings. Every child's got giftings, everyone's got giftings, and you make sure you develop those giftings. And I saw giftings in you, I saw giftings in Russell and in Tiffany, and you make sure those giftings are brought out, and you encourage them in that.
And I think also, well, there's so many things, but you've just said you weren't handed everything on a plate.
Yeah.
I remember when Tiffany wanted a hamster, she was about 8, and it was going to cost 40 quid for the hamster in the cage and the food.
Yeah.
It weren't expensive, I could have just bought it for her. But instead of saying no, or just buying it, I said, well, how can you get that hamster? And within 3 days, she had it. Because she got a bargain, she walked on her own to the shop, got a bargain pages, found a £10 second-hand cage, phoned for it herself, did jobs around the house. Everyone was like letting her clean the room, like you and everyone, for 2 quid. And within about 3 days, she rang Grandad and said, can you give me a lift? Because I wouldn't give her a lift because I said, you've got to sort it.
Yeah.
And so it was being completely supportive of her. But it was also making her do the work.
Yeah.
And I think that is so important because, like, you're in your position now, you could easily accidentally spoil your kids, couldn't you?
Yeah. And so could Russell.
Yeah.
With his kids. And for me, I know I've said I'm going to make my kid pay taxes and things, because that for me is a biggest fear as a parent. It's just because I had to work so hard. I'm not saying no one gave me opportunities and no one believed in me, not at all. But I had to work absolutely crazy hard to get financial independence and to get to where I'm at. And but same with my students. If you don't charge for education, people won't value it. In the same way that with Tiffany with the hamster, if you don't work for something, you just take it for granted. So let me get a little bit of...
But it makes you think outside the box instead of saying, expecting your mom to get you everything. Or instead of just being heard, no. Can we have this? No. Can we have this? No. You stop asking. You stop questioning. You stop wanting things.
Yeah.
But if you're told, well, how? And you make them think creatively,
Yeah.
that's going to follow through into life, isn't it?
Yeah, and throwing the problem back.
Yeah.
Saying, well, yeah, yes, you can, but you've got to find the money.
Yeah.
And,
I think another thing is the family works as a team. Do you remember that time that Tim needed help to do up a property? And there was like Russell, Anna, you, Beth, Tiff, everyone was happy to go, but you had a paper round. So the whole family did your paper round with you.
Yeah, yeah.
In order that you were freed up to...
Yeah.
And I think we still do that as a family, don't we?
Yeah.
So we all work together. When something's needed, we all plug together.
Yeah.
And I think that's really key.
I want to get a little bit of background, your background as well, Tim, because it's interesting because growing up, so sort of, I almost feel like I went from middle class, and I've not really, I don't know what you think about this, sort of middle class, mum and dad's background from when I grew up was a gardener. Prior to that, I had background in sales. You were working as a mobile hairdresser throughout most of my childhood. We lived a reasonably comfortable life, kind of standard. Then you and mum split up when I was 7, and then we had it financially pretty tight. Would you agree?
Yeah.
We were pretty skint for a good few years, and I remember that stage pretty well. And then you and Tim got married, and Tim's background is an accountant, and he was a little bit more, not wealthy, but, lived a reasonably comfortable life, and then suddenly when I became a teenager, so I kind of feel like I've experienced and seen different, know what it's like to have a bit of money and be comfortable. Also gone through stages in life where we haven't got carpets on the floor because we can't afford them, and I'm living with you and the kid and siblings single. So it's really kind of like all over the place. But in terms of like background and growing up, what's your background? If anyone's interested, like how did
So
education, business?
do you want to do yours first or shall I?
I'll go first. My parents were teachers, and they sent me down the academic route, but I'm not academic, so there's a tension in that. I got my A-levels, I didn't go to university. My father was particularly annoyed that I hadn't gone to university, but be that to me. I then went trying to find employment. I'm colourblind, and that prevented me going to an awful lot of careers I wanted to do, particularly the science route, which is what I studied for at A-level. So I ended up, by accident, whatever you want to call it, in accountancy. A job that I actually hated from day one, but I stuck it for 26 years until I had enough. Then came out of accountancy, pursued something I was more interested in, like interior design, which seems odd because I was colourblind, but that's another story. And then I went to this event where one person was speaking about property. And I'm interested in property. I didn't know you could buy properties. I thought you had to have hard cash to buy another property. I didn't think you could get a mortgage. And I was intrigued. And I came back and said to Sue, "Thought about going into property investing?" And I thought she'd say no. And she said, "Yeah, why not?" And that's, in a nutshell, how I ended up in property investing.
And when you started doing that, I was at school, sniffing around, interested, like, what's this? What? Taking a massive interest. And that's something actually that growing up we always did. We always talked about business.
We always did everything together.
Yeah, we did everything together, and we also talked about business and money, and it wasn't taboo ever to talk about money, was it?
No.
So when Tim started getting into property, I would be picking his brain. How much are you investing? How are you doing it? You're refinancing. What does that mean? And that was when I first had my eyes opened to property. And I remember just thinking, and people probably know my story, but I remember thinking at the time, Dad was lining me up to go and work for him. And now I'm getting this whiff of, property investment. Tim seems really excited. Tim's smart. I know when you first got married, me and Tim might have not been best friends to begin with, but I always respected Tim as with his financial numbers and stuff, because he's an accountant and definitely knew more about money than any of my school teachers. Although ironically, you were also my school teacher.
Correct. Yes.
Just fill anyone in. How?
Well, when I finished accountancy and I was going into interior design, your headmaster got whiff that I was free and said, "Will I come and help out at the school on the admin side?" And I thought, I can probably do that. So I came in to help on the admin side.
Yeah.
But your headmaster being your headmaster, I thought, I can use Tim to do some careers advice with some of the children. So I ended up teaching on careers advice.
Yeah. So I knew you when I first found out. When you were Mr. Grey to me.
Correct.
Yeah.
When you first got engaged, and it was crazy, weird.
Yeah.
So it was a little bit awkward potentially from my part, and of course still having a great relationship with my dad, Ethan, and he taught me a lot about business and entrepreneurship as well. So it was, but I was torn, wanted to get into property and do what you were doing because I could see how excited you were with it. You introduced me to Simon Zucci.
Yep.
I remember going down to a PIN meeting with you. I don't know if even you remember, in Birmingham, you took me to Birmingham PIN meeting. Do you remember?
Vaguely recollect, yeah.
Yeah. And, that was how I got introduced to property. And we travelled together.
Yeah.
Our trip to Blackpool.
Yeah. Where you drove.
Yes.
My car.
I drove.
After you'd only got your provisional licence for 2 weeks.
Yeah. Just turned 17. And I think I think at the time, you, Tim, were doing no money down deals, i.e. buy, refurbish. No, not even refurbish then. Buy, refinance.
Yeah.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but kind of what the setup was, because it was a no money down deal. And you tell me if I'm wrong, because we haven't actually spoken about this for years, but this is how I remember it. So with all the training that was going around at the time on the masterminds and different things, and I was very much getting myself out there, chatting to people. I was in with the builders in Birmingham. When did I work on the building site? Do you remember when I did some work on the building site?
After you did your plastering?
My plastering crash course. So I was about 16.
About 16, yeah.
So I was desperate to become valuable. As far as I was concerned, I'm just thinking, my stepdad and you together, but I know it was Tim's, thing that but you were doing it together. But is buying some properties. He's doing it in a creative way, which sounds awesome, but I don't understand. I gotta get in on this. So my in on this is, how can I be valuable to Tim?
Yeah.
And how can I be valuable to the builders and the property trainers and anyone that's in property? How can I be valuable to them? Because I know if I just get their crumbs, I got nothing. I can't get a mortgage. I've got zero property background. I've got literally nothing going for me. But if I can be valuable, even if it's a case of taking those awkward phone calls of the tenants, that Tim or whoever might just be like, oh, I've got to kick out a tenant. I'll do it. I'll go and have that awkward conversation. If I can be valuable to property investors, that was kind of my in.
And you did so many different things, didn't you? Like, remember when we did at Maryvale Road? You were only 18 then.
Yeah.
And you plastered that wall.
Yeah, but I would do anything.
Yeah.
I was plastering to try and make a bit of money. But on the property side, I wasn't trying to work. I wasn't trying to work for money. I was doing a bit of plastering, and I was doing a little bit of this and a little bit of that.
You were doing the lettings.
I was doing utility warehouse. So I was doing things to make money, but I was trying to be valuable to people. Yeah. Thinking in my head, in the long run, if I'm valuable to people, then I'm gonna get some crumbs.
But you were good at it. I still remember to this day when I got my Wolverhampton HMOs and I was setting them all up. I was there doing work on the properties, the brand new builds. There was no refurb. It was just a case of getting things ready, and you were showing prospective tenants around. And the way you were doing it was, they thought you owned the property, and they just treated me as if, well, he's just a workman down there. It's hilarious.
I was going to say that, just I didn't.
Because I was at the same time I was studying Jim Rohn, I was studying personal development, sales. So the way I'd carry myself, I dressed well. I was very, very young, but people would think that. But I also remember, I thought you were going to say, I'd sit on my hands and knees, 10-hour days with you every day, flat packing. Flat packing. Now I'm not thinking, what am I getting paid for this? That, to me, what I knew was that would be a poor person's attitude.
Yeah.
What am I getting paid for this? I don't care what I'm getting paid for it. I'm just glad that Tim's spending time with me and I'm able to talk to him about property.
It's an education, isn't it?
Exactly. And how I remember it, what I was going to say is, at the time, because when you could find a property that was below market value and you could buy it and you could refinance it, and because you had the connections with the bridging companies and stuff from the mastermind groups, the sort of setup, as I remember it, was, if we all just work together, me, you and Mum, collectively to try and find these frigging deals, it doesn't matter who finds the deal. It doesn't matter who views the deal. It doesn't matter who's been doing flat packing, we're working together.
Right.
And we're out absolutely like crazy trying to find deals. We're negotiating, we're driving around the country trying to find deals. And the kind of deal was that if I'm really helping and I'm bringing deals to the table, and then I would have, every time you got 9, I'd get 1. Is that?
I don't remember that.
Do you remember that, Tim?
I don't remember that.
I don't remember that precisely, but I'm not.
It was like a 1 in 10 thing.
I don't remember that.
Oh, really?
No, I don't.
Oh, that was definitely what it was.
Okay.
That was definitely what it was.
I don't think I cared. I think it was just like we're all working together.
It was kind of like that, but the thing is, it's almost like, look, right, Tim's got a little pot of money.
Yeah.
From refinancing Station Road, right? The house that you lived in. Because you, old school prior to that, work hard, work in a job you hate, save up money, put it in the bank,
and pay the mortgage
off. And that's where you'd got to. So you're like maybe 40, 50, 50 years old.
I think I paid the mortgage off in about 30. 35 years old. I think I
Right,
was.
got married when you were 47. So now you've been married a few years. So you're like early 50s with your mortgage paid off, refinance. You want to get this money to work, put it in, pull it out, put it in, pull it out. But then my attitude is, well, if I can find you deals that you can do the pull it in, put it out, and then if I'm finding the deals, then you'll be my guarantor, host, actually have it in your name, but earmark it for me and hold it for me until I'm at an age where I can kind of transfer it. So we're just working crazy finding deals. And my first property was Merivale Road,
Yeah.
Correct.
which was actually, I think, it was the week before or 2 weeks prior to my 18th birthday.
Just before your 18th.
Yeah.
Just before.
So I was technically 17 when it completed. And that was a blast.
You loved that, didn't you?
Oh my goodness. The feeling of being like, I own a
Yeah.
house. To me, growing up, like a year before I was doing paper rounds. You know, it was really, 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 really weird and cool.
Yeah.
But I felt like by the time I'd got that property, to be fair, I'd been working my tits off for almost
2 years. Probably.
well, maybe, but specifically on property for a year.
Yeah.
Working like crazy, seeing Tim buying houses and helping Tim and stuff. So that was the first property, and we did that as a HMO. I was thinking then, time, that didn't make sense because I remember at Bible college, but that must have been much later when the property was having a refurb. I don't remember.
We did a refurb on it.
Me and you initially.
Yeah.
Remember when I banged that fireplace out, plastered
Yeah.
it?
We did that to start you off.
Yes.
To get that property up and running.
Because it was not in terrible condition, but it was a bit run down.
The kitchen was a bit naff. and-
Yes.
Yeah. And then what happened was, a few years later, you did the kitchen, didn't you?
I did the kitchen.
And
yeah.
we went round and decorated it. That's when we were at Bible college.
Ah, okay, that makes sense now. So that property, the refurb, we did ourselves. That was
We
pretty
did.
much me and you single-handed.
Yeah.
Respect, dream team. And that refurb cost us next to nothing. I don't know how much, hundreds of pounds probably. Plastered it, painted it, put tenants in it, rented out room by room. And do you remember how much rent I got?
No.
Was it 1,300?
About $350 a room, about 1,400. About 1,400. Still got that house today. It's almost doubled in value now in Birmingham. That was my very first house. And after that, what did you go on to do? Because I didn't buy any houses after that for a little while.
Can't remember the time scale. I bought the Wolverhampton properties then.
Which I was managing for free.
Yeah, and then we ended up getting what we call the Derrick properties.
Talk to me about the Derrick properties. Oh my goodness. The Derrick properties. The Derrick properties were very interesting. Because why did we even get into that? What happened?
Because what had happened was, you couldn't do that back-to-back remortgaging anymore.
Yeah, but Mortgage Express had gone bump, so you couldn't do that.
Yeah.
When we did Maryvale, I still to this day don't know how it was done. I got the mortgage, but I still don't know how the actual deal was done.
Because that was right in the nick of
That was in the nick of
nick.
time.
Thank God I wouldn't have got my first house.
I bought the JMI Road properties with someone who did effectively, he bought them and sold them back to me the same day. But that was we did that just in the nick of time before that was capped. You couldn't do that. Then we're stuck for how do you do no money in deal, and somehow I came across Derrick, and his deal was slightly different, and we paid out, I think,
Low money in, wasn't it?
£2,000 fee, I think it was, and that's all the money we put in. And they did effectively a joint venture with the vendors that were selling it. So
How does the Derrick deals work? Because I'll tell you something. At the time, I just remember talking to Derrick on the phone. You introduced me to Derrick, and it was a case of you pay a £2,000, £3,000 down payment, and then you have a house which is half owned by the current owner, but you own half the house, rent it out, all good, and then down the line you can either buy them out or they buy you out. But I'm just thinking, like, geez, if I can put down £2,000 or £3,000, I can make that in plastering. I can make that in getting little fees, or I can bang that on I did bang that on a credit
You
card.
did, when we were on holiday.
Yeah.
I did.
You went into the Lloyd's
Lloyd's.
Bank.
Yeah.
I remember it.
Yeah.
And I got my credit card and I went up. Do you remember what happened?
I remember you going into the Lloyd's Bank and we were all sat outside with the dog waiting.
And I wanted to get the house.
Yes.
I was like, anything to get a house. I must have been 19.
Was he? Probably.
I don't think I bought any houses when I was 18. I think I bought Maryvale Road just before turning 18. And then 18 years old, I was working my ass off, trying to desperately. But I actually think 19 was when the Grandma Leeds deal, I bought that little house in Bloxwich. It's the, they did the lease option agreement in
That was a bit
Bloxwich.
later.
Okay, but it was similar. And then the Derrick properties. But that sort
era.
of year was when I started like properties, not all great properties, but that was kind of like when quite a few came in.
I think the thing was that we had that big crash, didn't we, in 2008?
Yeah.
So everything changed and a lot of people got out of investing.
Mm-hmm.
But what we were all trying to do was find a new
Way.
It's like when you come to a dead end and you've got to go back and look for some other route.
It's about being fluid, and that's always the case.
And so we were looking for another route. We found the Derrick route and thought, this is it.
Yeah.
But then, you know, Tim got into refurbs and you got into HMOs and that, and you just have to keep finding a new route. When one route closes,
Yeah.
you have to look and be creative, don't you?
So the Derrick's deal then, what was the crack with that, Tim?
I can't remember how the deal was done to get it as a no-money-in deal. I'd need more time to think that through again. But basically, the vendor sells the property and then has a share. They put that money back into the deal and they have a share in the equity of the property. And they have that for as long as they want. But if they can pull out that money at any time, and in the first 10 years, there's a sliding scale as to how much money they can pull out.
Some weird
It's a very weird
agreement.
I've never seen or heard of one since.
I bought a couple from Derrick. You bought a few from Derrick. One of mine is the bane of my life, and it's owned in Russell's name, and that's on Durham Road. Because a lot of my properties at this time, I was putting them in different people's names and stuff. Russell bought that one, and to be honest, I genuinely at the time I've been thinking, do I need a contract, Russell? What happens if Russell screws me over? But I thought, he's not going to do that. He's my brother. It's all good. But now I could screw.
Russell's going, where's the contract?
Yeah, I could screw Russell over by letting him have the house.
Yeah.
Because it's such a bad house. The BBC did a whole documentary about that house, pretty much. I was on the week the landlords moved in, and they went through my whole portfolio. I can't believe I even trusted them enough to be like, yeah, go, like, now knowing what I know about the BBC. But they went through all my properties, spoke to all my tenants, picked the worst house, which was that one, and I had to live in it for a week, and it was fun. But that was a crazy house. I mean, at this time, what would you say the biggest sort of struggles, lessons, things? Because you know, you just started buying houses and things were going away. Then the crash came. Everyone's at the time was saying, I mean, from what I remember, buy-to-let's dead. Property prices are going to absolutely crash. It's a bad time to buy. Get out, get out, get out. All the property trainers even were running around like headless chickens, not knowing what to say or what
to teach.
They didn't know what to teach.
No.
Because all their strategies finished. I'm thinking, my goodness, like, I don't know what to do. As far as I was concerned, I'm kind of thinking I have very little to lose. I'm still living at home.
Yeah.
I've got a nice little bit of an income coming in from my little small property portfolio. I've got a little income coming from, which to be fair, for me, living at home, like, I was getting paid more than my school friends that thought I was crazy going into property. So I'm doing okay. And I just wanted more houses.
Yeah.
That was all I wanted. But what kind of got you through that time, and what happened, and what sort of character traits do you think that you need to get through a recession?
Dog with a bone mentality.
To be honest, at the very beginning, it was really hard. The first massive problem we had, before you got into it, wasn't it, with Coles Hill?
Oh yeah.
The first massive problem we had was this humongous, we bit off a massive project, this great big old listed building, didn't know anything about listed buildings. We were completely in at the deep end.
Where did you find that property, and who recommended it?
At the time, I was looking for properties where I could get a planning gain. So I was finding property that could be converted into something, flats, get the planning gain, I'm going to pass it on to a builder. That was my strategy at the time. And I obviously made that known to a few estate agents. And one day I got a phone call from an estate agent. We've got property here you might be interested in. It's got planning permission, etc. to be converted into flats. Are you interested? And I said, no, I'm not interested. Well, they pressured me a bit. And I thought, oh, go on then, I'll come and have a look at it. I looked around the property, I thought, hey, hang on, there's still some fat in the game here. I could probably, even though they've got the planning gain, I can still make money out of the build. So I then decided, yeah, I'm gonna buy it. And I did that with a totally no money in deal. And that was a straightforward 100%.
No money down deal.
No money down deal. It was a straightforward 100% finance.
Yeah.
By contacts from networking. But that did cause a few headaches. And then the
I
crash
remember, although I wasn't involved, I was at school, I was still involved in the conversations, and can remember Tim coming home and talking about, and to be honest, that would have probably put a lot of people off.
To me, that was like a black cloud following you everywhere you went.
Yeah.
But after that...
You had, I mean, I hope you don't mind me saying,
No.
but you ended up having to go to court with the builders,
Oh, yes.
and it was rough.
It was very rough. Very, very rough. We missed a really great holiday over it.
Yeah.
Because we had to be around to sign these things, and
You won in court.
we did. But at the time, that whole thing was like a black cloud following me around. That's how I felt.
Yeah.
But since then, and we ended up good out of that. It worked.
Yeah.
And since then, we've never worried about money.
Yeah.
So at that time, I worried, what if we lose our house? What if this happens?
I remember when Tim used to always say, if this doesn't come off now, we're going to go under.
Yeah.
That was the big thing. We're going to go under. We're going to go under.
But ever since that, we haven't worried about money.
And you've never gone under.
And we've never gone under. But I think we did a fundamental wrong thing there.
Yeah.
I think we took on a project that was capable of making us go under.
Mm.
And I think that really we should have started with something a bit more smaller.
Do you know what's so interesting about that? I mean, my opinion on this is, I always say to people, when you get started and you do your first deal, you're gonna make mistakes.
Yeah.
You're gonna make mistakes. So you're better off to start small. However, a big deal and a small deal take the exact same amount of effort. So me now, I'd much rather do a much bigger deal because it's more money, it's less effort, it's less hassle. I don't want to do little deals. So it's almost a case of start small, but then every time you do a deal, I think go bigger and bigger and bigger and build up to the big deals, or find somebody that you can joint venture with who you can trust.
Yeah.
But, you know, you took on a massive project.
We did. But we took on something that could bankrupt us.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't recommend that. I would take on something that's risk, yes. I'm not saying don't take any risk, but make it so that if it does go pear-shaped, you have a safety net, and we didn't really, did we?
No.
But then no one could have predicted the 2008 crash.
Yeah.
And the problem was, we'd just finished the refurb, and then we couldn't sell them, and they were dropping in value by the day.
Yeah.
So, you know, that was a very sticky situation. But since then, I've not worried about money at all. And I think that's good.
You've not worried because you've not had to, because you've had lots of money, or is it a mental?
Mental.
You just said, I'm not going to worry about it.
Correct.
Yeah. But then to be fair as well, I don't think until that project, prior to that, growing up, I know that we sometimes had nothing and we were skint, but you never worried about money.
It's not part of my
DNA?
No.
You've never worried about money?
No, I've never. And I think that was an exception.
It was an
because it
exception.
was
And also, like, Tim had always had a reasonable paid job, and I hope I'm not saying anything out of turn, but you know what it's like to have no money at all,
and it's fine.
and not know where your next thing's going to come from, or next. Whereas Tim had always had a job and a bit of security. So for Tim, maybe being in a situation where it's like, this could make us go under, it's quite
Big deal for him.
Big deal for Tim.
And I think...
Am I right, Tim?
Yeah, because accountants they're expected to be good with money. That's,
Yeah.
You're an accountant. And I think accountants are trained to be risk averse.
Yeah.
And I had to go through that mental change. Hang on, I need to take some risks somewhere along the line, calculated risks. My mindset is very different from. I haven't got the mindset of an accountant anymore. I can still play with numbers, but my mindset is not an accountant's mindset. It has changed.
Now, around about 2011, 2012, I think 2011, you had a reasonable, healthy portfolio that basically enabled you to be full-time in property or financially free, if you want to call it that, but basically had an income coming in from your rents, which covered an average sort of salary. Is that fair to say?
Yeah.
And then throughout the years of Bible college, because we went to Bible college together, because I was in a similar boat. I had, again, I wasn't really wealthy, but I had a little healthy portfolio that also was giving me a nice little income, not massive, but was probably about the same or more than an average salary. So I was okay as well financially. So that we're all at that sort of boat where we're like, right, cool, you got over that stupid project with Coles Hill, got a nice little healthy portfolio. I've got a nice little healthy portfolio that I've built up. And then 2011, went to Bible college. Me and you went to Bible college. We tried to get Tim to go, but Tim wasn't interested. And we spent 3 years at Bible college.
We did.
And then after Bible college, and because during Bible college, I don't know about you, but I wasn't really growing my portfolio big time. I wasn't even thinking about property. I mean, I was just letting my properties tick over, and some of them went up in value a little bit, and fine. I was maybe doing a little bit, but I wasn't pushing. I wasn't trying to raise finance and grow and deal packaging. I was just letting it sort of tick, and I was focusing on, because Bible college was intense. What kind of happened property-wise after that? After that sort of era,
Bible college.
Yeah, because I remember at Bible college thinking, I don't even know if I want to be a businessman. At the time, I was trying to find out my purpose in life and my calling and my, what's God put me on this earth for.
Yeah.
I want to figure out why I'm here. And I was single. I was honestly open for absolutely anything. I would have moved to Africa and set up a church plant. I would have, and we actually did. We moved to Leeds as a family.
Yeah. So while I was at Bible college and I was doing, well, it was full time, wasn't it? Really.
Bible college, yeah.
It was
3 days.
3 days, and then you had to do a mission on top.
Yeah. So 3 days a week, we had to travel to Birmingham, and we had to spend. And it was 3 full days.
Yeah.
That was Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. And then Monday, Friday, we'd do mission, and we'd.
And we had dissertations and homework.
Yeah,
it was full time.
It was kind of. I mean, yeah.
It was full time.
I was doing a lot on top, but it was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, when we went to Leeds, I was running 4 youth clubs.
Yep.
So I used to come home from Bible college at 4. No, about 5, and then at 6, I'd got to run a youth club, and I was doing the talks at every one at that point.
Yep.
So I'd got to eat my tea, 10 minutes to decide what I was going to teach them that night, and then I'd get home at 9 o'clock. We'd go and pick them all up in the bus, and we did that 4 times a week. So it was so full on, and we didn't really do much property then, did we? We ticked over what we'd got.
Same as me, kind of.
Yeah, and then when that was over, because it was like a 3-year thing, we bought that property in Market Drayton.
Yeah.
We bought that at auction.
Yeah.
Which was similar to the Coles Hill one. Great big old.
Yeah.
In a conservation area.
And how did you finance that one?
How did we finance that one? We had money.
We had some money and we borrowed money for the do-up.
Did JV, didn't we?
Yeah. We borrowed some money for the do-up.
Yeah. So you bought it for how much?
120.
120 was it?
And then you spent how much on the refurb?
Oh, crumbs. I remember now. I'm 30 for the time being. I can't remember now.
So you bought it for 120, you spent about 30 on it, which is 150 in, and then how much did you refinance it at?
About up at 210, and 75% of that I think it was.
Great. So that's like a...
All the money out, really.
Yeah. So it's like a buy, refurbish, refinance.
Exactly.
Pull nearly all of your money out. That's a nice little deal. And what about now? Are you doing, great. Like when I left Bible college, I mean, I just went crazy, didn't I? On the property side of things. And I think for me, I got to the point, I started Bible college when I was 20, I think I was about 20 years old, had a nice little portfolio, great, technically was financially free, but at the time I wouldn't have gone around saying, I remember Tim even at a youth group saying, Samuel, I don't know if you remember this, Tim, but we were at the Leemore in one of the little youth centres, and you were giving a talk, and you were teaching the kids about money, and you were telling them, about teaching them about money and management and being a good steward and being able to add value and all that. And then you said, Samuel, I was like 19, maybe 20, I was about 20 years old, and you said, Samuel is 20, and he won't ever have to work again if he doesn't want to, because of his properties.
I don't remember that.
Do you not remember that?
I do remember that.
I can't remember saying that, but I also did.
But you used to do talks and stuff
I
as
did
well,
talks,
didn't you?
yeah.
And I just sort of remember thinking, like, I guess technically it's true, but I didn't, at the time, that wasn't where I was at all. I was just thinking, I'm just getting kind of started.
Yeah.
I was hungry for life, I was hungry for business. During Bible college, my property business ticked over.
Yeah.
It ticked over. I might have bought a couple houses even, I can't remember.
Wasn't your main focus?
No, I think I did buy two or three little houses, but that would have only been, maybe a property went up a little bit, or I pushed it and refinanced it. I might have bought a couple houses, but then when I left Bible college, when I would have been 22, and that was when I'd written my book, Do the Possible, and I decided that I was going to go hard in business, and I was literally packaging and selling deals like crazy. Do you remember my deal packaging business was blowing up? Do you remember that blowing up?
Yeah.
What did you think when I started selling that many deals?
I know. I thought it was strange. You were selling these properties that you found on Rightmove, and I thought, you can't do that.
Yeah, I remember you calling me out on it. I remember you saying, but then where did you buy your properties from? Your Coleshill? Rightmove.
As you say, everyone starts off on Rightmove. Then all the property trainers say, "Well, no, you got to go this way, leafleting, do this, do this." They end up still going back to Rightmove because that's where most of the properties are anyway.
Yeah.
And it's just hard work finding the rest of them.
But the thing is, though, yes, the properties that I was looking at were on Rightmove, but they were good deals, and I worked very hard to negotiate and to find deals, and that is what made me a millionaire.
I think the thing is with you is that you're like, come on, I'm going to hold your hand and make you do it.
Yeah.
So your kind of training isn't just teaching someone and then letting them go.
Yeah.
You almost get them under your wing.
Yeah, and you're talking now, just so someone doesn't watch this and go, I came to the crash course and that didn't happen. You're talking about when I set up Buy Low Rent High and I was selling deals. I wasn't just selling it at, yeah, they might have been on Rightmove. And they weren't all on Rightmove, but a lot of them were with estate agents. Some of them were off market, some of them were on market, some of them were direct to vendor, but a lot of them were with agents.
I can remember a lot of the people were like it's like you're on a high diving board and you won't jump in.
Yes.
And the people were there going, oh, I really want to do property, but I'm a teacher and I don't know. And you just grabbed the hand and went, come on, and gave them that courage.
Yeah, and I used to spend a day with them. I'd take them around the area. I'd hold their hand through the process, and I wouldn't just sort of go, oh, there's a deal that is on with an estate agent. Good luck, wash my hands.
No.
I would charge them a fee, and often in the early days it would be like a £2,000 fee. I'd say I want £1,000 up front, and then I'll take another £1,000 off you when you complete. And in the meantime, I'll hold your hand. So I was offering a lot of value. That is when I did begin getting my first few haters, because some of the deals might fall out of bed. It's kind of inevitable. And then people would, and of course I'd put that right and I'd refund them or whatever. But when you start selling that amount of deals, I mean, geez, I sold over 200 deals in the space of about 2 years.
Yeah.
And I mean, you do the math, I made a lot of money in that. Put that into property mostly. I was also subsidising Training Kings.
Yeah.
Christian Business Network. So I was giving. I was going back and forth to Africa a lot, and I was living life to the fullest, and I was using the money well. But that was when my property business went from
small
grey to blue, because I was using the money to reinvest.
Yeah.
And I remember you, Tim, you lost track with what I was buying, and because before that point, every time I buy a property, it'd be like a big deal.
Yeah.
Tim, do you want to come and have a look? And I bought this house, and look at this. Whereas at that point, I was just buying houses left, right, and centre. Like, what did you do last week? I bought a house and I sold 6. That was my conversation over a haircut while we'd meet. And you were really involved in the mission and the work with the street kids, church plant, and I don't think you guys, and I might be totally wrong now, but you probably didn't want to put the same energy and aggression into building a business than I did.
I don't like selling deals.
Yeah.
because I know from our experience there's always a problem. So
Yeah.
I'd find a deal for us, like Rowley Street, which was around that time.
Yeah.
Beautiful 6-bed HMO. Just bought it. There's a damp problem and dry rot. Now, we just take it on the chin.
Yeah.
£5,000, so what?
That's business. That's life.
That's how it works. Or your Durham Road property.
Oh, jeez.
But
Yeah.
when you're selling deals, I don't like that because then they come back to me and
But
go...
do you not think though? I agree with you.
Yeah.
That's about setting expectations and saying, listen, this is.
I think so, but I think we like doing what we do. If you're a deal seller
Yeah.
and you want to set it wasn't something I wanted to do.
You never wanted to do any of that.
No.
It's not my bag.
not our niche.
I agree you make money out of it, but it's not
I'm
my
happy
bag.
to take the money and take the headache.
Yeah.
I'm happy. And yes, it comes with headaches. I remember when I was driving around California, newly married to Amanda, like maybe 2016, and I got people on the phone to me, oh, Samuel, my room's not renting and this and that. And it comes with problems when you're packaging and selling that many deals. But it's also, you want to be successful in business, you want to scale a business, you want to become a millionaire, you're going to have to have a lot of crap.
Yeah, you do.
You can't have any business and not
Well,
have
we
crap.
have that, but in a different way.
Yeah.
And it's like you could say, oh, you buy listed buildings, you've got to go through all that. But that's sort of like crap that we don't mind.
Yeah.
And you've all got your own...
Every strategy comes with crap, doesn't
Exactly.
it?
But
Every
you've got to have your own...
And it depends on where you're at. See,
Yeah.
I teach rent-to-rents, I teach deal packaging, I teach lease option agreements, I teach HMOs, and they've all got their pros and they've all got their cons.
Right.
And depending on what kind of... You might be like, I'm prepared to take on that con. Deal packaging, you've got to deal with investors and you've got to sell. You go, I don't want to do that. But then it's, I want to do conversions, like barn conversions. Oh, well, you've got to deal with planning, officers and this. I don't want to deal with that. So I think depending on how much money you've got, how much time you've got, like when I started out when I was 17, I had no money and I had nothing going for me apart from courage.
Yeah.
Basically, I was happy to take on anything on the chin as long as I was to get myself a house.
Yeah.
So I think it really just depends on where you're at.
Yeah.
Um,
And what your giftings are.
yeah.
Because you could go into deal sourcing and not be able to find the deal. You haven't got that kind of a mind. So it is a case of, there's so many niches in property, but it's a case of finding which one you want to go down.
It's doing what you enjoy doing.
Yeah.
I think, you'll probably know who said this, but everyone says about being success. What does success mean?
Yeah.
It is doing what you want to do.
Yeah.
And it's a case of doing what I like doing. I like getting hands-on in building, but that's not what you're taught by all the professionals and trainers. They say you don't make money that way, but that's what I love doing. I remember Simon Dush's course. He on property he said, list what you want out of life. I know the woman next to me was writing reams and reams and reams. I think the top of my list was do a barn conversion.
Yeah.
And that's what I want to do. And I'm now doing that.
Yeah.
It's just-
That's your niche. You've done rent-to-rents.
Yeah.
You've done HMOs. You've still got HMOs. So you're making decent money from your HMOs. You've done most of the strategies, or touched on them, or seen me do them. And you've done conversions, and now you're doing your thing. You found your niche. You're living where you want to live.
Yeah.
What do you think of training, of property training? Because you've done property training. I know you've done a lot of property training, like to the point where Tim is a little bit of a course junkie, I would say. I don't know what you think, Mum.
I wouldn't say
I
that.
wouldn't say that.
I wouldn't say that.
But you do go on a lot of courses.
I have been on a lot of courses. Some of them have not been beneficial to me.
Yeah.
Some have.
And not just property courses. You just
I did a course as well, but
and you do a lot of networking.
yeah, I've done it so much now, but I have done a lot of networking.
But you used to do a lot for networking and all that. I don't know if you did BNI.
BNI.
Used to run a
sure.
networking.
You used to
run
run the networking. I mean, and you've done a lot of courses. We used to do courses together.
Yeah.
And it was so funny because when we'd go on courses together, we used to sometimes be split between, was this amazing or was this really, really crap? Didn't we? What was that about?
Well,
And we'd change our mind. I love that trainer. And then the next day we'd be like, I hate him. That's probably what people feel about me sometimes, though. But I mean, what was your experience of going on training courses and stuff? Because sometimes it was great, and sometimes it sucked. But
I always loved them.
yeah, did you?
At the time, yeah. But
When
then
did-
sometimes they weren't really that helpful.
Go on.
Just trying to think now.
I think whilst you think, I think some of the training, you go on a course, it's a brilliant course until you actually go to do it.
Yeah,
And you
there's
think,
a piece of
hang
the
on,
jigsaw
they haven't
missing.
told us that bit.
Yeah.
They haven't told us that bit.
Yeah.
That's the bit I really need to know.
Yeah. So like you go on a, I don't know, course on essay, and then you go to do it, and you think, oh,
Yeah.
I
Do you think that there's an element, because I think that's always going to happen to a point. I'm a trainer. I run the biggest property training company in the UK. And I would like to think that that's not the case. I mean, you've seen our training and stuff, and our training's very, very thorough. But to a point, it's like when when they say when you pass your driving test, that's when you really learn to drive.
yeah.
There's only so much that you can learn while not doing something.
That's right.
And until you actually do it and get stuck and go, oh man, I'm stuck. And then you've got to almost find someone to ask or figure it, but you can't learn everything. What you can learn is you can learn the outline and the steps, but there's going to be a little bit of figuring it out as you go along, perhaps, do you think?
Yeah. I think some people think that going on a course is a bit like fairy dust.
Yeah.
So they're going to pay £2,000, £10,000, whatever it is, and that's going to ensure that they will be successful.
Yeah, that's going to be their magic wand.
Yeah, it's a fairy dust,
Yeah.
and I don't think it is.
I
I think
agree.
it's like going to Weight Watchers and expecting to lose weight. They'll
Yeah.
give you the skills.
Joining a gym
Yeah.
and getting a personal trainer and having a dietitian give you a plan and then going, oh, in that case, I've paid for it. I'm going to just get slim and another six pack. It's like, no. That's the tools, that's the support, that's the resources, but you have to actually do it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
And that's so true.
And I think that the other thing is that there's big money in property, isn't there?
Yep.
Massive money.
Yep.
So if you learn something that's going to change the course of your property business,
Yep.
you can't really put a value on that. Like, I remember when we used to save up to buy properties, didn't we? So we used to work, save and save and save, and then with that money buy, say, a HMO, and then we had to wait ages to buy the next thing.
Yep.
And then we'd learn, say, use other people's money. Suddenly, oh, that's sped it up a bit now.
Yeah.
So how can you put a value on that? You've got to go backtrack and go, because knowledge it's like a spider's web. You'll learn this and put that with that and this with this, and it forms a foundation and a building block. You can go on a course, you've got to put the effort in as well.
Yeah.
And the two together is what
Yeah.
helps you grow.
Yeah.
I
I
think.
agree.
What do you think?
You've got to. I was thinking this when I went on my first property course. I'd gone with the mindset I'm going to do property, but I just don't know how to do it. So I was already on a journey, and I was getting. So I went off, and I remember talking to the mortgage broker. He says, "Cool, I'm glad to see someone take action as a result of a course." I said, "Well, yeah, I've paid £500 to do nothing with it."
Yeah.
And that was a very good course. Other courses I've been on, I thought, shall I do that, shan't I? And because you haven't got mindset, I'm definitely going to do it, you don't do it. So it's all down to mindset and get on and doing it.
You were at my very first Property Investors Crash Course.
Correct.
How much have you in total paid, would you say, on property training courses? Now, I know you've not paid for any of my property training courses, and to do so would be somewhat ironic as you introduced me to property in the first place. You've been at my first crash course. But how much would you say you guys have spent on property training courses in the last 15 years or however long you've been in property?
I don't know, I have to tot it up.
But it's a lot.
A fair bit, yeah.
It's a fair bit. Okay, what I was going to say is, do you know what? I remember going on a lease option course when I was probably 18 at that time, and it's like, what are we going to do? What's new? You went as well.
I did.
And I remember thinking, I think we paid about 500 each, and then it was called the lease option, whatever.
Ultimate.
No. Then there was a $2,000, the ultimate, which was kind of like not really much better. And it was like, then there was the next $5,000, and it was just like, oh my goodness. However, as annoying as it was at the time, and I've always really not wanted to stay away from any of that business. If I sell someone a course on lease options, guess what they're going to get? A course on lease options. Guess what they're not going to get? An upsell to an advanced lease option course. Like, that's just total. We don't do that at all. But to be fair, I did then go and get a lease option.
Yeah.
Sometime after, which actually has made me probably about $60,000 since, if you take into account capital appreciation and rent. So, okay, all right, I spent a few grand, but actually, do you know what I mean? So it's really hard, isn't it? Because,
Do you know what I think?
Go on.
I think property courses are a bit like properties. So if you judged whether a property was good or not by your Durham Road, you'd say it was rubbish, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
So you can buy, if you get a portfolio of 10 properties, are they making you money overall? You're going to have the odd one that's not very good. You're going to have the odd one that's absolutely brilliant.
Yeah.
I think that's what's happened to us with courses. Like, some courses have been brilliant. Some mentoring's been brilliant. Others, not so good. But if you say, overall, are you glad you did it? Well, then, yeah.
Yeah.
Because you've had those good ones in there.
Yeah, but do you really think that people, I guess that's why I started training in a way, but do you really think people should therefore just go and do 10 different courses and pay a load of money and just say, well, some are going to be good and some are going to be bad?
But I think they should have the right attitude to courses.
Yeah.
So if we buy a property and it's not that great, you just think, move on. And so if you go on a course and you think, I didn't learn a lot. I've gone on loads of courses and thought, I haven't learnt that much off that. I don't think anything.
I would be pained though if my students had that attitude and were just like, yeah, I didn't really learn that much, but it's all right, no big deal. Like, I would be, personally, I'd be really good if that happened. But it's a good attitude, I guess. It's like taking a responsibility, I guess, isn't it?
I'd say it's a moving forward attitude.
Yeah.
Okay, that's happened. Now let's go forward.
Yeah. What do you watch my YouTube videos ever?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not all of them.
How I know I do one day. Out of interest, how often do you think you watch a YouTube video?
I watch them when you tell me to. Mummy gonna love this.
Oh yeah, if I just ping it over to you, I'm like, watch this one.
I always watch it.
You always watch them then. What about
I
you,
think
Tim?
it's difficult to say on average. I'd say once a fortnight probably.
Okay.
But it depends on the title of the.
Yeah.
And
I have to really clickbait you.
Yeah,
I have to really clickbait
so,
Tim.
so no, I'll watch that one.
Yeah.
Others I see. Oh yes, I'll follow that one because I want to follow that one generally because it's what it is. But it's a title that grabs you.
Yeah.
Oh, that intrigues me. Let's see what.
Yeah. Have I changed from being a 17-year-old working class kid to being worth over £10 million
Personality.
to kids? Yeah.
No.
Pretty similar.
Yeah.
What do you think, Tim?
You went through a phase where you changed.
Go on, talk to me.
And you're back there. I think it is when you're back down to selling deals.
When I what, sorry?
When you're selling deals and you first start to make a lot of money. I remember did he talk to you at the time?
Yeah.
And I thought, you've changed.
Yeah.
And we and I talked about it, didn't we? But you've bounced back to what you are now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Talk to me about that little era because that was interesting.
You were a kind of a focused, zoning out everything except work.
Yeah.
And I think you're more fun than that, really.
Yeah.
I think you've got more of a work-life balance now.
Yeah.
You used to
That's my
always
opinion.
be life and soul of the party.
Yeah.
But during that phase, someone was over there, he hasn't said
In
a
the
word.
corner.
In the corner, you weren't life and soul of the party.
Yeah.
Even New Year's Eve, he was doing
Yeah,
a
yeah.
deal.
But now, you're back to being...
I have to accept that. I have to accept that and say that is. I'll stand by that. I'll say yes. And I think that to get to that point,
Yeah.
I feel like I had to almost be a
Yeah.
bit of a bore.
No, that's fine.
And if I hadn't have done that, if I'd have been, all right, cool, work-life balance, I probably it'll take me another 15 years to get to. Do you know what I mean?
I think now, looking back, it just seems like a little blip. But at
the time, it was like, what's going on?
Yeah.
Yeah. Has he changed forever? Is he going to be a big bore? Another area that I think maybe I went through a little blip, because we've always been really, really close, haven't we, really? Growing up, you know. And then probably after when I went really hard on the property side and started scaling and growing and packaging deals, and I was doing Training Kings, and then and as my business started taking off, I started employing lots of staff, and I suddenly had a responsibility to that, and I've now got married, and number one, might have changed because I might have been totally just focused.
Yeah.
Secondly, I might have changed because I maybe too extreme, went to the point of, you know, when you start saying things like, oh, I'm not going to wash my car because I could pay someone else to do it.
Yeah.
Right? Which is just reasonable.
Yeah.
But then you start taking that to the nth degree, you know, I'm not going to do anything because I can pay someone to do it. And then it's like, well, actually, what, you know, every time I meet someone, it has to be an agenda and a reason. Otherwise, it's a waste of time.
Yeah.
I kind of maybe was a little bit there.
A little bit there.
But it's just like, do you want to meet up and hang out and have a barbecue? Or do you want? Well, no, because I've got stuff to do and I'm busy. And suddenly you lose perspective of why you got into business in the first place a little bit.
I think looking back, it's completely natural what happened. I also think that it is part of your nature to have so much drive, and you really needed that push to get you where you were, to get you where you are. But I think it's something that I wouldn't want you to be like forever.
Yeah.
I'm glad it was just a phase.
And what do you make of how big the training business has gone?
Just amazing.
Because it has gone big.
It's just amazing. Amazing.
Did it ever get to a point where you kind of just realised, oh wow, actually was there ever or
I'd say, well, it was like going back to your original question. It's just watching something happen, isn't it?
Yeah.
And then you suddenly think, this is quite extraordinary.
Yeah, because together, as a three and as a family and we got to a pretty extraordinary place, really. Just in the fact that having a £1 million property portfolio and being financially free and being able to start doing charity works and things like that at 21, that's kind of a big deal. But then how far the business has gone.
Going back to how you've changed as well for a minute, is that you've already alluded to the fact that we did everything together.
Yeah.
Family really close, Bible college together, missions together, everything, even with the extended family, like, you know, with Russell, and we were very, very, very close. And you have already alluded to, you used to pick Tim's brain. I can remember a point thinking, I don't feel any use to Samuel anymore. I don't feel that I can give him it. I don't mean I've got anything more to offer, because you're now going to these mentors and you're earning this money and you're doing these deals. And for a phase, I felt a bit redundant as a mom. Do you get that?
I think so, yeah.
Like, it didn't bother me. I was pleased for you.
Yeah.
But, you know, you didn't even need to ring up and say, how long do I put the beans in the microwave? You know.
Because I got a wife.
It had suddenly gone from that to that.
Yeah.
But strange, you do ask our opinion now. And you've kind of gone full circle, I think. And I think it was all about us and the family, and all. Then it became the mentors and what you'd learnt and all this, and going abroad and doing all that. But now, when we chat to you, it is just like old times.
That's interesting.
I'd agree with that, yeah.
So.
And it's funny as well you say that, because one of the things I've learned is actually how important it is to not just like remember where you came from, but the people that know you absolute best. I mean, some of the advice that I've had from real big paid mentors that I've paid hundreds of thousands of pounds has been garbage.
Yeah.
It's been rubbish. And actually, I think it's really important, and also just having that support and having that, knowing that having that relationship. I think with family is mega, and I'm really fortunate that I get on with everybody in the family, both on Dad's side, your side. There's no one in the family, Tiffany, Russell, obviously me and Russell are best mates. Everyone on Amanda's side of the family, I get on with everybody.
Yeah.
But I think it's mega important, and I think it's really important to, if you have got family that are being naysayers and trying to hold you down, sometimes you have to, not part company, but you just have to do your thing and not listen. But if you've got a supportive family and you've got people that are rooting for you, I think that's one of the most important things in the world. And I definitely know that I wouldn't be where I am today, not just because of the initial few years of property support, but also just the believing in me right from a kid. And the whole way I was raised to think and to believe in myself. I know that my business would be non-existent if it wasn't for the advice, the support, I've had from you guys. So I'm eternally grateful.
Well, it's always a combination, isn't it, of different factors.
Yeah. But what would your advice be to someone watching this that was maybe, if you were talking to a 17-year-old kid now, like I was when I started, a 16, 17-year-old kid that had the hunger that I had, but also is in a situation where they haven't got the money, they haven't got the ability to get a mortgage, they haven't got the education and the this, that and the other. What advice would you give them to succeed in life and to succeed in property?
They've got to mix with property people.
Yeah.
And just mix with them and talk to them. I remember watching you, 16, I don't know, talking to a property investor from up north, a well-known investor at the time, his name escapes me, and I stood there thinking, he's holding his own with that property investor. Does that property investor actually know he's 17? Does he know he's only 17? Because no one would have known.
Yeah.
And he'd have thought you were older than that. But the fact you did that, other people need to do that. Just talk to property investors and get, you might only be 17, so what?
Yeah.
Every multimillionaire, every successful person starts somewhere.
Yeah.
You don't know who's going to make it in one sense, and who's going to have influence.
Yeah.
I think one of the things you did a lot of was you used to write a lot of things down, didn't you?
Yeah.
And you were quite clear about what you wanted to do.
Yeah.
I think that's so important because I think, and for anyone, not just a 17-year-old, I think you sometimes just have to take stock. Like we wanted to live in the Peak District.
Yeah.
We might want to do that more than somebody else. It's making things happen that you want.
Yeah.
That's important. So it's not following someone else to the nth degree. It's deciding what you want and then going about that. Do you get me?
Yeah.
And then finding the people that are going to help and support you in that.
Yeah, no, I think so. I think getting around the right people, believing in yourself. Because everything I'm about now and everything I teach is kind of like a product of what I am.
Yeah.
Even when people say, I know we've spoken earlier about the critics or whatever, but I'm only teaching what I've done.
Yeah.
So I can't say it's going to work for every single person. I know it's possible to work for anyone because it's worked for me and I've seen it work for my students. I went on training when I couldn't afford it. I put stuff on credit cards as a teenager with no comeback. It wasn't like, hey, if it doesn't work out, son, we'll sort you out. No. I would have had to have just done paper rounds or started washing cars to pay off the debt. So I did it. I got trained. It worked for me. I now have a successful property business. I now have a training company. But I just do what I teach.
I think the biggest thing for anyone, or the biggest thing that I would like to instill into a child, is that you must have the right attitude.
Yeah.
Because that stands you in good stead for everything.
Yeah.
You're going to get disappointments.
Yeah.
That is life. If you live in this life, if you're breathing, you're going to get disappointment.
Yeah.
And it's how you handle that. Now, going away from property for a minute, when you broke your knee in Uganda, I think I really thought, you've handled that so well. Because at that point, you were not where you are now. You were doing well with the training, but you were putting tremendous effort into that. You'd only just got home a week and you were training people.
Yeah.
It was like an unstoppable attitude.
A mission.
Yeah. But when you've got something like that and a mission, it's very easy to let things floor you.
Mm.
You know, some things you can shake off, other things floor you.
Yeah.
And you're out. But you don't. And I think that is a key, that is. Do not let things floor you.
Yeah.
Because I remember coming around your house a week after you'd had your accident. You'd just got back from Uganda.
And just for the record, it wasn't just a breaking of a knee. It was.
No, it was horrific. You were told you were 50 chance you were never going to walk again.
Yeah, and if I do walk again, I'll have a limp.
You'll be on a stick.
Yeah.
And all the rest of it. So for a young man of what, 27?
Lost 25% of my blood.
Really, 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 really bad. That could put someone in a depression for 2 years. I remember thinking that. And I remember saying to you something along the lines of, you know, you're doing really well. That could have put you in a depression for 2 years. But with the right attitude, you can fast track that and you can get through things.
It didn't put me in depression for a day.
Did it not?
No, not at all. And while I was lying in hospital bed in Uganda, I didn't have Wi-Fi, but I managed to get some Wi-Fi. I think when I moved hospital.
Yeah.
Remember when for the last 2 days in Uganda, I was in a different hospital. I managed to get Wi-Fi, and people are messaging me and stuff, mostly nice. But I had people mocking me. You know, I had like haters and online trolls and stuff mocking me.
Okay, I've got a question for you now.
Go on.
How do you do that? Like, when everything seems, when your whole world seems to be crumbling, you know, like, what has someone got to do to break your spirit, basically?
I think, in all honesty, I think being a Christian
Yeah,
and knowing that actually life is extremely short
yeah,
and, you know, we are eternal beings, and right now life's eternal, really, really, really short, and knowing that what I'm doing is not just for this lifetime, it's actually for eternity. I don't mean to get all spiritual on my viewers, and just knowing that actually, am I doing what God's called me to do? Am I? I think that's it. That's it. So
yeah,
if I am doing what God's called me to do, not just what I love doing, but what I'm called to do,
yeah,
then it doesn't really. And one of the sort of revelations I've had, especially with a lot of the criticism that I've had from the media and stuff, is just I don't answer to the media. I answer to God, and I answer to my family, and I answer to my wife and my. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So regardless of the chatter, I'm just thinking, well, what are people in my life saying?
yeah,
You know, and in terms of like the leg injury or some of the issues, you know, car accidents and severe near death moments and things. Yeah, I think it's just I'm living a life on purpose.
yeah,
So never ever I've been worried about being comfortable, and I don't think you can be the kind of person that wants to be comfortable.
Yeah.
If you want to be successful, and you want to be effective, and you want to leave a legacy, you've got to get comfort completely out of your mind.
yeah,
So, you know, whether it's I'm needing to make an awkward phone call or decision, or I'm needing to grow in my business, or whether it's I'm lying in a puddle of wee in Uganda, not being changed and not eating for 10 days and being told I could die. Okay, well, I am not about being comfortable.
right,
I think that's really what it is.
yeah.
Um,
I'm not meant to be asking the questions.
Go on.
Do you ever procrastinate or think, oh, I don't feel like doing that now?
Never.
Never.
Never. And if I do feel like I don't want to do something, I don't do it.
Right.
Ever.
You don't do it.
Nope. I don't do it.
But you never do it. You just don't have it.
If I'm working really hard and I'm like, oh man, I'm tired, I don't feel like working anymore, I'll go and have a break.
Okay.
But no, I never ever procrastinate. I just don't. It's not in my. And I only have a small amount of goals, so I don't have long to-do lists and this, and I've got to do this and I've got to do that. I just have, this is what I'm going to do
Yeah.
this month. And if it's not towards that, or these 1 or 2 or maybe 3 things, then I'm not doing it. I only ever have 2 or 3 things at a time that I'm doing. So I can't procrastinate. Why do you procrastinate?
No, but I'm just batting the ideas around.
Yeah. Final words of wisdom then, Tim. Sorry to put you on the spot.
That's pretty well on the spot. Words of wisdom in what respect?
Just for someone that wants to be, successful, effective, live a full life. You've done well in property. You've raised me from the age of 12, and helped me. And yeah, I mean, you've taught street kids, and you've taught business people.
If you have a heart to do something, you just go on and do it. You've got to say, what I'm interested in, that's what I'm going to do. I know when we went to Leamore, it wasn't my idea, and I wasn't particularly jumping with Dan about it at the time. But I decided, right, don't even moan about it, just get on with it. I'm going to join you two in what you're doing. And those are 3 years of my life that I shall never forget, because they're brilliant. I did enjoy them. So just get on and do it. Don't harp on about bad things.
Yeah.
And I've had to go through, my background being an accountant is so regimented and risk averse, I've mentioned before. I've changed from that, and my parents' background, I've had to change. I've had to go through a whole mindset. I never expected that to happen when I married Sue.
Yeah.
But life's been an adventure, and I think life is an adventure, and make an adventure. Make what you can of it. You only live once, as they say, but make the best of it, and don't harp on about the bad things. Just get on with life. I mean,
that's good advice.
I agree.
That's good advice. Well, it's been great chatting. I think we've just had a similar kind of conversation to what we would have probably off camera, pretty much.
This is typical us, isn't it?
Deep
but normally about
conversations.
3 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, deep conversations about life, and but honestly, it's really great, and no doubt we'll get you back on. We are going to be documenting one of your barn conversions, which is going to be awesome, and exciting. So again, thanks for coming on the show. Thanks for investing in me as a person, and that's it. It's a wrap.
Yeah, thank you very much.
I really enjoyed that interview. I loved chatting with my parents. I hope you found it useful. I hope you found it interesting. Don't forget, I interview my success students, and that was a little bit of a different one, every single week. And if you want to hear more interviews like that, then you can check them out right here. Also, please do smash the like button, show some support, drop a comment, and if you haven't subscribed to the channel, subscribe and turn the notification bell on so you never miss a video. Thanks so much. I'll see you next time.